really quite dramatic changes here. But as Yvette Cooper said in her statement there, she didn't miss and hit the wall, saying that it's not enough and the system is in chaos, and these measures, in her estimation, won't change things.
So let's imagine in real terms somebody who runs a small business, let's imagine. And let's imagine at the moment their workers come in their majority from abroad because they haven't been able to recruit in this country. And let's imagine they're now going to have to grapple with these two new stipulations, one that the basic salary is much higher than it was before, and the other that they can't have the 20% reduction, etc. And they simply can't afford to do it. So then what is meant to happen next?
So I think the net result of this, to answer your question in a second, the net result of this is numbers go down.
Right.
I think that's probably inevitable. That's what the government want to happen. It'll solve that bit of the political problem. But the practical problem for the person you mentioned who runs that small business, he says, well, the job only pays £26,000 a year anyway, and people have been coming from abroad to do similar jobs. Well, now that job has to be advertised and taken up by people who are legally in this country already, so they won't be able to sponsor a visa for someone unless they jack up the salary to £38,700, which, let's face it, is not going to happen in the majority of jobs. So there's going to be a refocusing on British workers. That's what the government wants to do. James cleverly saying that's going hand in hand with the back to work scheme that the Department of Work and Pensions is putting forward, trying to get those million or so people who are on unemployment benefits who can work but don't back into work. So it's a big shift, but I think the political problem will probably be solved quite quickly in terms of the fact that James Cleverly is estimating 300,000 fewer people will come. He's creating the conditions for that to happen. There's no doubt about that.
But where is the calculation that's usually in governments done on the back of an envelope, isn't it, hastily on the back of a bus ticket or something? The one which says, well, these are the number of vacancies we have in the NHS. These are the number of vacancies we have in social care. These are the number of vacancies we have in hospitality and in food and nutrition. These are the ones we have in retail. And if we get 300,000 fewer people coming, although it sounds to the people who don't like the sound of 745,000 people coming in a year like an improvement, who's going to do the job?
Well, health and social care is basically exempt, so they won't have to have... I mean, there are very few jobs in health and social care, certainly caring professions, that would be as high as 38,700. So there are changes to that, but also in terms of the dependents, that will be very interesting as well, because we've had, as I mentioned, 100,000 care workers, but they're bringing in more than double that in dependents, and only 30,000 of them, those dependents, are actually in work. So there is a lot changing within this system. Certainly the health and social care system will be breathing a bit of a sigh of relief in this, but lots of other areas of the British economy, big changes afoot in the spring.
And what's the story with students and people coming from abroad to study?
Lots happening with that as well. Now, postgraduates will have to have research as part of their sort of master's or PhD. Basically, it's about PhD people and very, very advanced academic sort of courses that they're on. Certainly undergraduates won't be allowed to leave their course and move into the workplace as well. That's something that there have been a lot of scam colleges that are set up simply to get people into the country. Now, they often scam people coming from abroad out of a lot of money as well, but there are people who come here, say, I'll start a course, 6 months later, they miraculously drop out of it and go into the workforce and their immigration status is legal. So they're tightening up on that as well.